Do you want to learn how to bake donuts at home? Have you ever attempted in the past and they came out heavy or too thick or hard as a brick? Then this tutorial we're going to go over how to make perfect yeast donuts at home. The video is sort of lengthy, but I'm going to show you in great detail and give you little hints and tips to help you come out with the perfect donut at home. So please follow this tutorial. We're going to begin by making the dough, and then we're going to make the vanilla glaze. You'll be able to find all of the ingredients in the description box below. Please subscribe to Luke's Sugary Sweet and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of my uploads. And please follow me on social media. So here in the bowl of my Geek Chef stand mixer, I have some warm water, and I'm going to use the instant read thermometer. So it's at about 117 degrees. You don't want it to go above 120. Idea is between 110 and 120, but 100 and 120 is good. So I have here some active dry yeast. And there's a difference between yeast, so when you're using some yeast, make sure you know exactly what there is a difference between yeast, so when you're purchasing yeast, just be aware of what you're buying. And this is active dry yeast. This isn't rapid rise or instant yeast. There's a difference. This isn't bread machine yeast. So this is active dry yeast. And also if you look at the yeast, it looks different. So active dry yeast, we're going to sprinkle that over the water. And then I have here the sugar. I'm just going to mix the two together. And I'm going to let this sit for about 10 minutes just to see if it's going to be active. This is the way to know if your yeast is living or not. So we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. So my yeast is active. It's all foaming at the top. It's beginning to foam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this 2 cups of flour. You can use all-purpose flour. I'm going to add 2 cups of the flour to the yeast. Then I'm going to add the sugar, salt, coconut oil, and then the egg and vanilla extract. So I'm going to attach my paddle attachment. We're going to change it after we mix this together for a while, but I'm intentionally starting with the paddle attachment. Then I have here some buttermilk also. That's at room temperature. I'm going to stir it to get it back together. I'm using real whole fat buttermilk. I'm using my Geek Chef, and I'm going to kind of pulse it a bit just to get some of that flour and everything dissolved together. And then I'm going to just mix that together. I'm going to let this mix on medium speed for about 1 minute. So I let this mix for 1 minute. Now I'm going to switch to the paddle attachment. So now after switching to the dough hook, we're going to add the remaining flour a half a cup at a time. So this is going to be the 3rd cup, but we're only going to add half. So this is 2.5 cups of flour that we're going to be working with here. So I'm going to just put this on low speed. Now we want to add enough flour that the dough pulls away from the sides of the bowl and begins to slap. But we don't want the dough to be too stiff. We want it to be sticky and to begin to pull away. So I'm just increasing the speed to help it out along here. I'm going to stop the mixer. Then to just give the top of the bowl a scrape down. Now see, it's starting to pull away from the sides of the bowl. I'm going to stop the machine. I'm going to still add half of that remaining half a cup. Just enough flour. It's really all about feel and understanding. We're going to see what it looks like. But see how it's still sticking to the sides of the bowl, but it's coming away slightly? See, I think I'm going to add a little bit more flour. It's still just a little bit too sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and add the remaining. So that's going to be 3 cups of flour. So this is beginning to pull away from the sides of the bowl, so I think 3 cups of flour is enough. We want it to be sticky, but it's pulling away. So I'm going to let this go on medium speed for 2 more minutes. We're going to let this heat on medium-high speed. So it's been 2 minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off the machine. And then here I have a bowl off to the side that I just took the liberty to go ahead and oil. So this is my bowl here that I oiled, and I'm going to go ahead and just scrape this sticky dough out this bowl. It's the idea that dough is light and sticky like this. You don't want it to be heavy. And then I'm just going to turn the dough. Then I'm going to cover this with cling film, and I'm going to let this sit in a pretty warm place in my kitchen, and let this rise for 1 hour. An hour and a half, or until doubled in bulk. So it's been 1 hour and our dough has risen, and I'm going to put down a little bit of bench flour. Going to remove the plastic film, and I'm going to just turn our dough out here onto the counter. The dough is very sticky, so keep that in mind. And just simply dust your hands down with flour, and then we're going to knead the dough a couple of times. So I have my rolling pin. I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of bench flour on top of the dough, and then dust your rolling pin down. Just start from the middle and just work the rolling pin the opposite way. We're going to just knock all the air out first. Or you can do it by hand. Press all the air out that way. Just make indentations with your fingers. I'm going to roll the dough. A little bit more bench flour down. I think I'm going to try to do a 12 by 10 rectangle maybe. Let's see. Now if your dough starts to snap back, you can just allow it to rest for about 5 minutes. Cover it with plastic wrap. But it's snapping back just a little bit, but that's okay. So this is about a 12 by 10 rectangle here. It's a rectangle-ish shape. I'm gonna rub my hand to make sure it's even across the top. I'm just sort of lifting the dough to make sure it's not sticking, so that way when I go to cut the donuts, it's not going to snap back. If it sticks to your counter a little bit, just put a little bit more bench flour under it. This will prevent it from sticking. We'll just say this is 9 by 13-ish, 9 by 14-ish rectangle, and this is about quarter-inch thick, slightly thicker than quarter-inch. About quarter-inch. I have my donut cutter here. I'm just going to rub it in the flour, and then I'm going to just cut my donut, and then I have a cut piece of parchment paper that I've already cut into a square, and then we're going to lay this into a cookie sheet. So here are my donuts. I let them rise for 30 minutes, and I covered them with plastic wrap that I just sprayed with cooking spray, or you can rub it down with oil. It's just to keep it from sticking, so when you pull off the plastic, it doesn't disturb the shape of the donuts. So I'm heating up some vegetable oil here, and my oil's at about 315 degrees. I just took the temp a minute ago. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull my plastic film off the donuts, and I'm going to just carefully pick up the parchment paper that's holding the donut. Okay. And then we're going to just drop the whole thing in there. I know it seems crazy, but you'll see why in a moment. You just pull the parchment from up under the donut. So again, I'm going to drop it in there. And see, you keep the shape of the donut when you do that. You just let it sit in the oil for just a moment, and then it just slides right off. So I'm going to turn my heat down to about medium heat here, because we don't want it to cook too high. We don't want it to burn. I'm going to cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes, just until it begins to get a nice golden brown color. So it's starting to get a nice golden brown color, so I'm going to go ahead and flip them. And they're going to let them cook until they're golden brown. Then we're going to remove it and place it into a pan that's lined with a wire. So this one's nice and golden brown. So I'm going to shake all the oil off, and I'm going to place this into my rack that I have over here that's in the oven. It has a wire rack on it. It's a pan with the wire rack. So I'll shake off all the excess oil. And as soon as they're nice and golden brown on both sides, nice and golden. So for the glaze, it's fairly easy to make. I have here some powdered sugar. I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla extract. And then I have here some hot water. Just whisk that vanilla in so that way we know. I'm going to add just a little bit of hot water at a time. Just so it forms a thick, smooth glaze. It's going to be almost like a thick paste. So I have here my donuts, and what I'm going to do is take my donut and I'm going to just place it heavily, or place the top side of it into the glaze, and I'm going to shake off all the excess glaze. Shake off as much as I can, and just set it back on the tray. Now if you want the glaze to be thicker, just add more powdered sugar. And I think I want my glaze to be a little bit thicker, so I'm going to add some more powdered sugar to that. So I think this is how thick I want it to be. It's actually a lot thicker. I'll take another one of my donuts here, and I'm going to just dip it in that glaze, pick it up, let all the excess drip off. And I think this is good. It's a good idea to twist the donut. So I'm just shaking it. And I'm going to place it on the rack, and it'll automatically drip around and solidify. Here is our donuts after the glaze is set. I'm gonna just take one of them and pull it open for you guys. You see the glaze is cracking as I pull it, which means the glaze is set. See, it's cracking. So you see the inside of it. It's nice and soft. So you see it's soft as I squeeze it. It rises back up. It's light, pillowy. The color is beautiful. So let's give it a taste. Wow, these are wonderful, guys. Please give this recipe a go. Look at that beautiful crumb. If you follow this recipe to a T, I promise you have perfect donuts every single time. Please add this video to your playlist, share this video, and please subscribe to The Sugar is Sweet, where we're making the world a little bit sweeter.